At Orion Tech, one of the most prestigious technology firms in Silicon Valley, power and prestige dictated the rules. Executives walked with an air of superiority. Deals were signed in high-rise offices with breathtaking city views, and lower-ranked employees were often treated as nothing more than background noise. Among them was a woman whom no one paid attention to, until it was too late. Her name was Evelyn Carter, and she was supposedly just a janitor. She moved through the corridors of Orion Tech unnoticed, wearing the standard navy blue uniform, her brown hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Every evening, she quietly observed everything and everyone, storing away every detail like a sponge soaking up water. No one knew the truth, that Evelyn Carter was not just an ordinary cleaner. She was, in fact, the true owner and founder of Orion Tech. A decade ago, Evelyn had built Orion Tech from the ground up, pouring her passion and intelligence into what would become one of the most successful firms in the industry. However, 3 years ago, she had stepped down from the CEO position, handing the reins over to her cousin, Richard Vaughn, a man she once trusted. She had wanted to take a break, to travel and explore other interests, but she never truly detached herself from her company. Recently, she had heard whispers, concerns about mistreatment of employees, reckless spending, and a culture of arrogance and toxicity at Orion Tech. Instead of making a sudden reappearance as the owner, she had decided to infiltrate her own company in disguise, to see firsthand what had become of the business she had built with so much love. It didn't take long to see the cracks in the system. Richard Vaughn, now the acting CEO, had become everything a leader shouldn't be. He was ruthless, egotistical, and worst of all, completely indifferent to the struggles of those beneath him. He wielded his power like a weapon, belittling junior employees, flaunting his wealth, and ensuring that only those who fed his ego advanced in the company. To him, people like Evelyn, janitors, clerks, and assistants, were invisible. One particularly arrogant executive stood out above the rest, Mark Ellison, the head of finance. Mark was young, ambitious, and dangerously unethical. He misused company funds for extravagant personal expenses and manipulated numbers to cover up his wrongdoings. He treated lower-level employees as if they were beneath him, speaking down to them with the confidence of someone who believed he was untouchable. One evening, as Evelyn wiped down tables in the break room, Mark waltzed in with his usual smug grin. He looked her up and down and smirked. "You missed a spot," he said, pointing at a perfectly clean table. "Honestly, how hard can it be to clean? If you're going to be useless, at least be invisible." Evelyn clenched her jaw but gave a polite nod, continuing her work. She had seen this behavior countless times, but each instance fueled her determination to see things through. She needed to know just how deep the corruption ran. As weeks passed, Evelyn uncovered more than she had expected. Employees were terrified to speak up against management, fearing retaliation. Promotions were given based on favoritism rather than merit. The company's finances were being drained by Mark's unchecked extravagance, and Richard Vaughn turned a blind eye as long as his own wealth remained untouched. But the worst of it all? Mark had begun making inappropriate advances toward Evelyn. It started with subtle remarks. "You're too pretty to be a cleaner. Maybe if you smile more, someone will notice you." Then it escalated. "I could get you a better job, you know. One that pays more. You just have to be nice to me." Evelyn kept her composure, knowing the moment to strike was drawing near. Then came the final straw. One night, as she was about to leave, Mark cornered her in the hallway. He leaned in too close, his voice dripping with arrogance. "Meet me in my office tonight. We'll talk about your future, or you can be out of a job tomorrow. Your choice." Evelyn's blood boiled, but she merely smiled and whispered, "See you tomorrow, Mr. Ellison." The next morning, Orion Tech was buzzing with excitement. A company-wide meeting had been called, one that no one saw coming. Mark, Richard, and the rest of the upper management gathered in the grand conference room, expecting just another routine briefing. But then Evelyn walked in. She was no longer dressed in a janitor's uniform. She wore a tailored navy blue suit, her hair styled elegantly, her posture exuding authority. The room fell silent as she made her way to the head of the table, where Richard sat. He looked at her, confused, before chuckling dismissively. "This is a board meeting," Richard said. "You're in the wrong room." Evelyn turned to the gathered executives and spoke calmly, yet firmly. "I think I'm exactly where I need to be." Richard's face twisted in confusion, but then realization dawned as Evelyn pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. Inside were financial records, emails, and evidence of embezzlement and misconduct, everything she had collected during her time undercover. Mark's face went pale. "What is this?" he stammered. "It's proof," Evelyn said coolly. "Proof that you, Mr. Ellison, have stolen from this company. Proof that employees have been mistreated. Proof that Orion Tech, the company I built, has been corrupted from the inside." Richard's eyes widened. "You built—" He stopped short. His mind was racing. No, that's not possible." Evelyn smiled slightly. "Oh, but it is. I'm Evelyn Carter, founder and rightful owner of Orion Tech." A wave of murmurs swept across the room. Mark looked like he was about to faint. Richard opened his mouth, but no words came out. "You treated me like I was nothing," Evelyn continued, her voice unwavering. "You thought you could intimidate and manipulate people without consequences, but actions have consequences." She turned to security. "Escort Mr. Ellison out. He's fired, and legal action will follow." Mark barely had time to protest before security hauled him out of his chair. He thrashed, shouting about misunderstandings and false accusations, but no one was listening. Then Evelyn faced Richard. "I trusted you," she said quietly. "But you let greed and power destroy everything this company stood for. You are hereby removed from your position, effective immediately." Richard looked around for support, but none came. One by one, the board members nodded in agreement. The reign of corruption had come to an end. As Evelyn stood at the head of the table, looking at the stunned faces before her, she knew that Orion Tech would rise again. Under her leadership, it would become a place of innovation, respect, and integrity once more. The people who had mocked and dismissed her now looked upon her with awe and fear. And as Mark was dragged out of the building, he realized, far too late, the truth. The woman he had treated like dirt had held the power to change his entire future. And she just did. Thank you for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating tales. See you next time.